Welcome back to Cityscape. The end of an era will be marked at Powell Symphony Hall this evening when Robert Ray, director of the St. Louis Symphony in Unison Chorus, will direct the ensemble at Powell for the final time. Dr. Ray has announced his retirement after 15 years directing the chorus. That retirement, though, will become effective after his final In Unison Chorus concert on April 25th. And we welcome Dr. Robert Ray to our studio. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Bittersweet night tonight?
I think I'm excited. I'm really very, very excited. More than bittersweet. I think just the idea of my having been able to do so many wonderful things with that group and with that orchestra, and just the power of those forces. It's something that will last me for the rest of my life. You know.
You use a word that comes to mind when I think of it as well, the power of the sounds, the sound of the chorus and the sound of the orchestra. It's just incredible how rich and full it is.
It really is. Growing up in St. Louis, growing up with that orchestra sound in my mind and hearing it over the years, and I couldn't have even imagined that as a kid growing up I would have been standing on stage conducting that great orchestra. But I remember the first time, hearing it in Powell is one thing. But then the first time I actually stood in front of that orchestra, and from that vantage point, it was just overwhelming. That's what I experienced.
So why leave it?
Well, there's some things happening physiologically with me, some health issues that are just making me not able to do the absolute best that I can do all the time. And so I think it's just time to step down at this point.
Well, of course, you teach here as well at the university.
Yes.
And that's a full-time job.
That's a very full-time job.
And the chorus work is not just something you do in your spare time. Really,
well,
it's a full-time job,
it's the
too.
chorus work also, but it's also the planning of the programs, because all the programs that have gone on for the 15 years are pretty much planned by me, choosing of the repertoire, choosing the solos, rehearsing the chorus, and the final product of putting it all together. So I've been kind of, in one sense, a music director for the In Unison chorus. So the combination of all of it it's just maybe time for me now to step down and focus on some other things in my life.
One of the things I thought about prior to our getting together here today was your thoughts about what you feel is really more rewarding to you. Is it standing up there in front of that chorus or teaching a class of young, eager students here at UMSL?
I think each one has its wonderful, incredible place in my life, and I think the balance that I've been able to strike over the years of enjoying the academic world of teaching in the university and then going out and being with a professional ensemble like the St. Louis Symphony. It's a wonderful, great mixture of events that sort of keeps you going. They keep you growing. They keep you excited. Just about the time one might get sort of whatever, then the other things kick in, and so they kind of feed off of each other in a very real way.
How many voices do you have in the chorus?
In the chorus right now we have about 120, and we've maintained the chorus of about between 100 and 120 for the entire 15 years.
Tell me something about the selection process of those members of the chorus. How does that work?
Well, we do an audition. We do an audition at the beginning of each year, and it's pretty rigorous. We do the vocalization to make sure that the sound qualities are what we need and what we want. We also do some sight reading to see if they can sight read music, and we also have them sing a selection for us of their own choosing. So by the combination of all of it, we can evaluate where they stand and how they would best work and fit in the ensemble.
And where do they basically come from?
Mostly come from the In Unison churches within the community. We have a wonderful active In Unison program at the St. Louis Symphony, headed by our wonderful coordinator, Mark Thayer. And so out of that program, we began auditioning from the churches, and then we eventually expanded it to be just the St. Louis community at large. Anybody that wants to be a part, if they find out about the auditions, they can come and audition.
Well, the chorus actually did spring from the faith community, did it
Absolutely,
not?
Absolutely.
Tell us about how it all got started.
Back 1992, 93, we were asked to put together a chorus initially of 50 members of the African American community and 50 members of the symphony chorus. And we did a work called Scenes from the Life of a Martyr by Undine Moore. That was so successful that then Maestro Andre Raphael Smith, who was a conductor, associate conductor at the symphony, decided he wanted to do African Portraits by Hannibal Peterson. So that's the really beginning of the In Unison chorus. It began with that production with Andre Raphael Smith. That was so extremely successful that the symphony made what I consider to be a very wise decision and decided to keep the chorus on as a permanent part of their structure.
how many voices in the early days? The same as today?
In the same as today. We always I don't think we've ever had less than 100, sometimes as many as 120, 130. But fitting 120 and 130 people on that stage gets to be a little bit tight sometimes. So
getting everybody there on the same day at the right time and ready to go, that's a challenge in its own right.
That's another issue.
How intimidating was it for you? You spoke about your early days and looking at the symphony in Powell Hall with through one set of eyes. How intimidating for you to actually be standing up there with ready to go?
Well, I'm going to share a story with you that happened at the very first rehearsal. We were getting ready for, I believe it was the first Gospel Christmas. And I was a nervous wreck. I'd never, I've conducted orchestras before, but never the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. And this was my dream orchestra. So at the very first rehearsal, I get ready to give a downbeat. And out of nowhere, my baton just falls to the floor. There was a moment of silence, and one of the violin players just picked it up and handed it to me graciously. And from that point on, it made me realize I'm human. I'm excited. I'm turned on. I'm really excited about this event, but I am human. I make mistakes, and so dropping that baton just signaled everybody, okay, we're going to go on and have a great show.
And I'll bet it was a great
show. And it
was.
At first, it was just very exciting.
Well, you're also a composer.
Yes.
And how often do you have the opportunity to use your own material?
I've tried to be very selective about that over the years. So over the 15-year period, maybe we've done the Gospel Mass completely, maybe just one time. I've excerpted various movements at various times in the season, depending on what we're doing at a given time. The Gloria is ideally a Christmas text, so we've done it several times at Christmas. The I Believe we've used several times on the Black History program. And my other major work, He Never Failed Me Yet, we've used a couple of times. And we're doing that tonight with a special new orchestration that I'll be doing for the very first time.
Right. And you wrote this more than 30 years ago, did
yes,
you not?
All of these works that we're hearing now were pretty much written around the same time.
We have a little taste of the Gospel Mass. I'd like for you to set it up if you could. It's very brief because we have time limitations, but just tell us what we're listening to.
Okay, we're listening at the Gloria movement from the Gospel Mass. The second movement, Glory to God in the highest. We praise Thee, we adore Thee. And for me, it was, at the time of writing it, it was just the desire to incorporate the gospel idiom of that time period into the Catholic liturgy of that time. I was sort of on a pioneer mission, if you will, to include gospel music in the Catholic Church after the Second Vatican Council. So the Gospel Mass comes right on the heels of the Second Vatican Council, and the Mass went into English, and then all of a sudden the use of African-American music forms in the life of the Church. So this was a big experiment.
I wish we had more time to play a lot more of it, but let's take a listen to what we've been talking about here.
We bless thee.